so much. Let me first thank Reverend Eugene Rivers, Jackie Rivers, Evelyn Higginbotham, my colleague, the Boston Foundation, Ella Baker House, and the sponsors of this fantastic event. I'm delighted in particular to be able to thank the members of the Wire cast. I mean, to have met Sonia San, Andre Royo, Michael Williams, and now Donnie as well, and this is just an amazing thing for me. So it's an honor for me. The Wire is one of the most powerfully engaging programs ever aired on television, and from my vantage point, is arguably the single most important dramatic TV series of all time. It is rarely the case that a television show holds up a mirror to us. A mirror focused on a set of our most vexing collective social problems. But The Wire did just this, wrestling as it did for 5 years with the powerful mix of crime, law enforcement, drugs, poverty, race, and urban politics that so often defines life in our major urban centers. In these brief opening remarks, I want to talk first about the social context and challenge that, for me, made this program and its ambition so important. And then second, to say a little bit about what made it such a compelling series in my eyes. As we all know, a combination of entrenched ghetto poverty, public policy failures, and the ever-expanding pursuit of a war on drugs and the attendant development of a host of get tough on crime policies has resulted in an unprecedented explosion of the intrusion of the criminal justice system into the fabric of the lives of those in poor and minority communities. Our society has generally witnessed an historic rise in the reliance on incarceration, jail and prison time, as our central response to the problem of crime. This trend, however, has fallen with radically disproportionate severity on African Americans, especially the lowest incomes among the Black community. As the New York Times headlined about 1 year ago declared, 1 in 100 Americans is now behind bars. That headline could just as easily have read 1 in 15. Yes, 1 in 15 Black men. Or even more strikingly, 1 in 9 Black men between the ages of 20 and 34. Most of this rise in incarceration is not driven by a response to serious or violent crime, but rather by non-violent drug-related arrests. Time does not allow for a full dissection of the processes that led to this woeful circumstance, but we all know it is problematic to inhabit a world in which there are more Black men in prison than in our higher education system, and where we as a nation find it politically easier to spend gargantuan sums of money on prosecuting and incarcerating adults than we do to make far more productive investments in education and an array of childhood anti-poverty programs and efforts. It is in the light of this social context that, like many of you, I found myself engaged and provoked and ultimately, quite frankly, addicted to The Wire. There are 3 reasons for this for me. First and foremost, the program, its creators, writers, and the actors assembled here before us, some of them anyway, were able to make dramatically alive and urgent these very real social problems and conditions. The program seemed to me to capture well the places, the people, the feel, the language, the mannerisms, the movements, as Bill just put it, the nuances of Baltimore as a major American urban center. From those in politics and high office to those struggling in the most forlorn corner of a dilapidated housing project. Second, and part of what I admire most about the program, it never compromised on showing the underlying multidimensionality and fundamental humanity of the central characters or people in these places. Most television dramas, even the highly acclaimed ones, typically invoke some routine narrative or stereotype and depicted police or drug dealers or the residents of economically marginalized ghettos. One does not get a whiff of easy reliance on such stereotypes or one-dimensional portrayals in The Wire. Even the most routinely, customarily vilified characters tend to have a complex set of motivation and attachments that makes them human, and even in the midst of doing unspeakable things. Perhaps no character brings these complexities home more than the 2 on either side of me now, in a way. Bubbles, who's a trouble for his family, and many of those around him, and Omar wielding his shotgun in the way he does. But critical here, though, and it's part of the point that Bill just emphasized, it captures the power of content, the power of situation, the circumstances in their fullness that people are embedded in, not some atomized individual acting alone. Third and finally, I can think of no other dramatic entertainment venue, of course, outside the miniseries roots, that did more to put on full display African Americans in every imaginable type of role and status position. corporate managers to showcase African Americans in their human diversity and complexity across the spectrum. All in all, in sum, I can think of no other program, no other dramatic entertainment venue that has come close to so realistically capturing the actual fabric and lived experience of poor urban black communities in this age of economic decline, crack cocaine, and the insanely punitive law and order political ethos that now defines our politics. Should we ever get past this era of the truly disadvantaged and of a profoundly counterproductive war on drugs, future generations, I suspect, will look back on The Wire as the authoritative artistic chronicle of these times and conditions. As such, it is perfectly fitting that this program be made the focus of curricular development efforts that aim both at sparking serious reflection on the challenges of urban poverty, crime, law enforcement, and at how we might go about better inspiring urban youth to make the sort of personal life choices that keep them on a path to improvement and full self-realization. With that, I'm going to stop, since like you, I'm really now here to hear from Andre and Michael and Sonia and Donnie. So let me step back.